Welcome to another tech vid. Today, you'll learn how to set up and install the Sophos protected browser. Let's dive in. In this tech vid, I'll go over how to set up users and directories and configure web policies. Then I'll demonstrate how to install and deploy protected browser. Before starting, you'll need a Sophos Workspace Protection License, admin access to your directory service, like Okta or Entra ID, a verified federated domain, and a configured identity provider. Note, Protected Browser doesn't currently support the Google Directory Service and on-prem. Let's get started. There are two methods to set up users and directories. The first is to create new or use existing Sophos ID accounts in Sophos Central. The second method is to use a synced external directory to import user and group information, which is what I'll demonstrate with Microsoft Entra ID. For more information on setting up Microsoft Entra ID Sync, check the tech vid linked in the description. After you've synced your external directory, verify your domain. In Sophos Central, go to General Settings, Verify Domains. The verification status is shown here, and you can re-verify if needed. Then, return to General Settings and go to Federated Identity Providers. Here, ensure that you've added an identity provider with the correct information and ensure that it's enabled. For more information on verifying domains and adding identity providers, refer to the documentation linked in the description. Finally, go to My Environment, Users and Groups. You can see that the users and directories have successfully synced. Additionally, if you don't have an external IDP or want to add specific users locally, you can create those here. If using this method, ensure the self-service option is enabled. For more information on this method, refer to the documentation linked in the description. Next, configure web policies to control what users can do within Protected Browser. Go to My Products, Protected Browser, Web Policy. Every time a user navigates in Protected Browser, the action is checked against policies in this tab. Click the Base Policy tab. If no policy matches, the base policy is applied. Set up the base policy first. Choose the base policy profile that best matches your organization's guidelines. You can also select the default actions for uploads, downloads, and data boundary controls. Back in the Policies tab, you can add policies to override the base policy. This gives admins additional flexibility. To add a new policy, you must first create one or more policy objects. Go to Policy Objects and click Add Object. The options are categorized as source or destination-based. Device posture is a source-based object used to select devices by operating system, and criteria such as whether they're protected by Sophos Endpoint or another product, Sophos Endpoint Health Status, or device encryption. For more information on supported endpoint protection, check the documentation linked in the description. Under the destination-based category, application groups allow you to choose from an extensive list of predefined web apps along with agentless ZTNA resources like SSH and/or RDP. If any application isn't listed, it can be added via the Site List Policy Object option. Lastly, Web Category lets you create groupings from over 80 website categories, the same ones used by Sophos Firewall and DNS Protection. With the new policy objects created, you can now create a new policy. Go back to the Web Policy page. In the Policies tab, click Add Policy. I'll create a policy for remote workers that checks the device health of Windows and Mac OS devices before allowing access to important apps. Give it a name. Set the desired overall effect of the policy. Next, select the user group this applies to. Then, select the device posture and application group objects. Select how this policy handles uploads and downloads, and what data boundaries to enforce. For more information about creating web policies, check the tech vid linked in the video description. Once finished, click Save. The web policies are now configured. Lastly, install and deploy Protected Browser. Go to My Environment, Installers. Find the Protected Browser section and download the relevant installer. Launch the installer and follow the steps to complete the installation. Note, you can also use device management services to automate installation across your organization. Once finished, open Sophos Protected Browser, sign in using your credentials, and you can start using the browser. Now that Protected Browser has been configured, you can also deploy other protections such as ZTNA and DNS protection. For more information on deploying these, check the tech vid linked in the description. And that completes the setup of Sophos Protected Browser. I hope you found this useful. The relevant documentation and other comprehensive resources for this tech vid are linked in the video description. Join the Sophos community to stay up to date with our products, ask questions, and get answers from Sophos experts. And go to Sophos Tech Vids for more expert tutorials to help you maximize your products and stay secure. See you next time.